All right, so let's start with the big story that we're tracking on WION at this hour, where India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi and also Bangladesh's Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina held a virtual summit. It, of course, focused on the opening of the Haldibari Chilahati railway network and also commemorated the birth anniversary of Sheikh Mujibur Rahman. Speaking at the summit, Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi hailed the growing cooperation between the two countries and assured Bangladesh of keeping the country's interests in mind during the vaccine rollout.
Excellency, बांग्लादेश हमारी नेबरहुड फर्स्ट नीति का एक प्रमुख स्तंभ है.
The Bangladesh's Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina also lauded India's COVID management strategy and termed India a good friend, and also expressed hope of India playing a greater role in the global economy in the days to come.
We happily recognize the growing dependency of the economies of Bangladesh and India. Bangladesh and India are also stepping into the 50th year of establishment of diplomatic relations.
So the rail network connects Bangladesh to the Indian states of West Bengal and Assam. 5 out of the 6 railway links that were laid before 1965, which had become defunct post the 1965 war, will now be operated. And this is the railway line linking Haldibari and Chilahati rail link that was part of the broad gauge main route from Kolkata to Siliguri. Now, both sides are working on the Agartala and the Akhara rail link, which is likely to be made operational by sometime next year, so that more number of people from India can go to Bangladesh and Bangladeshis can, of course, come to India. And that is what this railway link will actually help people do. A transport bubble, interestingly, was also opened amidst the pandemic to facilitate the movement of Indians into Bangladesh and Bangladeshis into India, especially for the frontline workers. Now, Bangladesh is celebrating the birth of Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, who led the country's freedom movement against Pakistan. The Prime Ministers of the two nations inaugurated a commemorative stamp in honor of Sheikh Mujibur Rahman. Now, both sides also inaugurated a Bangla Bandhu Bapu digital exhibition. It will be displayed in New Delhi, followed by Bangladesh, the United Nations, and also at Kolkata in early 2022. It will have a 360-degree view of some of the most historic locations and also a robotic signature of Sheikh Mujibur Rahman and India's Mahatma Gandhi. All right, now to give us more perspective in terms of how significant this virtual summit actually is for the two nations of India and Bangladesh, we're joined in by WION's Siddhant Sibil, who is joining us live on this broadcast. Siddhant, thank you very much indeed for joining us here on this broadcast. And let me begin by asking you this. This was, of course, a very crucial meeting, a summit meeting between the Indian and the Bangladeshi Prime Ministers, and it was to increase the movement of people between the two nations by reopening the railway link that actually took the centre stage in the meeting today.
Well, yes, Mohammed, largely this virtual summit was about the celebration of the relationship between Dhaka and New Delhi, something that has seen a lot of positive developments, a lot of momentum and a lot of high-level engagement. In fact, this virtual summit was to happen physically with the visit of the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi to Dhaka in March, but it could not happen because of the COVID pandemic. Now, of course, it is confirmed that the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be travelling to Dhaka next year in March of 2021 for the 50th anniversary of the independence of Bangladesh. But largely, the key outcome of the summit was on connectivity, was on Mujib Barsha, on war, and also was on to make sure that the momentum continues between the two countries in every sector possible, whether it's COVID, whether it is the connectivity front, whether it is culture, or whether it is highlighting the past, a common past, given the fact that how the Indian forces helped the liberation of Bangladesh. That was something that was talked about by the Bangladeshi Prime Minister. And today's virtual summit comes just one day after Vijay Diwas was celebrated here in India. The Indian Prime Minister talked about the event as well. So by and large, this common cultural heritage is something that we will see for next year as well, because of the independence celebration in Bangladesh starting. And that is something that will be the key focal point of the relationship all throughout the next year.
Absolutely indeed. And also as a part of this crucial summit meeting that was held virtually, India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi went on to speak about how Bangladesh was one of the crucial pillars of India's neighbourhood first policy. And he also went on to state that India is, of course, committed in manufacturing vaccines, and India is one of the biggest hubs in manufacturing vaccines. And this is something that would also be advantageous for Bangladesh as well.
Well, Bangladesh is highlighted as a key success story when it comes to India's foreign policy in the South Asian region, and a key pillar, as the Indian Prime Minister talked about, in the neighbourhood first policy when it comes to the COVID pandemic. We know that India has already assured, in fact, during the virtual summit also, the Indian Prime Minister assured about the vaccine, that whenever India gets the vaccine, Bangladesh will get high priority. And as we have been talking about the high-level engagement, including the visit, the in-person visit of India's Foreign Secretary amidst COVID pandemic, the first such visit was to Bangladesh. That shows that the priority accorded by New Delhi when it comes to the neighbourhood first policy to Bangladesh, and also India's Act East policy. Bangladesh plays a crucial role in connecting the Northeast with Bangladesh and, of course, the ASEAN countries as well. But when it comes to the COVID pandemic, not only Bangladesh but across the region and across the world, India has been able to emerge as the pharmacy of the world. And no doubt that, as the Indian Prime Minister said at the United Nations General Assembly, that India's vaccine will not only be for India but will be for the entire humanity. And for that, India has been reaching out to many countries in the region. There have been the offers of clinical testing as well from countries like Bangladesh and Bhutan. And we know that India is now focusing on making sure that the supply chains are there when it comes to the vaccine. Whenever the vaccine comes, the supply chains help deliver the vaccine to developing countries especially.
Absolutely indeed. Thank you very much indeed, Siddhant Sival, for joining us and getting us all those insights. A crucial meeting there between India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi and also the Bangladeshi Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina there. And with this, the railway links that have been snapped between India and Bangladesh way back in 1965 have been resumed for greater movement of people, Indians in Bangladesh and Bangladeshis into India yet again.